All right. Welcome to Office Flash Friday. It is Friday, August the 16th. We are live from St. Louis. I'm Todd Kidda. This is not Doug Splinter.
Hi, my name is Ajay Iyer.
Yeah, so Ajay's on the Microsoft Technology Center team here in St. Louis. So we are completely live from St. Louis. This is actually the first time we've produced the show 100% from St. Louis. We're learning, and we have a really neat set of capabilities here. So thanks to Brad Murphy for getting this set up. We're ready to rock and roll. So I have, Ajay, some Power BI and some Power Apps. What do you got this week?
I got quite a few announcements actually from SharePoint Online, Azure AD,
Ooh.
Teams.
All right.
A lot of cool stuff.
A lot of cool stuff. All right. So I'm going to open up with some Power BI. This one is cool. This one is definitely crosses over our two worlds, Ajay, right?
Yeah.
Because we have Power BI. Everyone knows and loves PowerBI.com, the service. But we, of course, have Power BI Report Server for our folks that haven't yet been able to go to 100% cloud. So Power BI Report Server, you install it, goes on-prem, a little bit like SQL Server Reporting Services has done for many, many years. But what we're enabling now is really exciting. We're enabling the ability to use the Power BI mobile application for iOS, Android, right? With Power BI Report Server with the Azure Active Directory application proxy.
That's huge.
That's huge.
That
So
is
Jay,
huge.
what are your main use cases with customers for App Proxy?
So I've had customers who are strictly on-prem, but they're looking to make that journey to the cloud, and they want to take baby steps, right? Baby steps.
Right.
So this is one of those key areas where I can just take my on-prem app and integrate it with Azure AD.
And do things like conditional access.
Conditional access.
So
right.
guess what you can do with Report Server now, Jay? Conditional access.
There you go.
MFA. All the things that you're doing with Azure AD, you can now do against the on-premises Report Server, which is super exciting. And here's a really cool architecture diagram, if you want to go full screen on that one, showing how the whole flow is. So people log in with the app proxy through the app, and we're pushing that down all the way to your on-prem report server, which is super, super exciting. So we can cut back, and all we need to do is go out and check out this, check out the links here. So this is really exciting. Obviously, this will be in the show notes. And this is always my favorite post every month, Power BI Desktop update for August. Even when the Power BI Desktop release is a smaller release relative to other releases, it's still a huge release. So that's kind of where we're at this month. So in reporting, this first feature right here is almost worth the entire release, which is grouping of visuals. If we had a little applause effect, I would tell Brad to cue it right now, because that's how big of a deal this one is. Everyone just is freaking out about this one. So, because I mean, the first thing you do when you create a visual or report, Ajay, is you're laying things out.
Yep.
A lot of times you'll end up with, if you look at this example here, you'll end up with a couple cards next to each other, kind of the high level view, and then you'll have your supporting visuals. So you're now able to group those and move those around with each other, resize.
Awesome.
That's not all, right? That's what you would expect, right? You would expect me to be able to group them and move them and those kinds of things. The other really, I think, interesting way they approach this is you can set a background color, which isn't just a style thing, actually. It enables you to treat it as almost like a visual group that allows you to grab it and move it around together, right? So you can see this example, they changed the background color to this awesome salmon, right? And what you can do then is click anywhere in that pink area and then move it around.
Nice.
So it's really, I thought that was a kind of a creative way to treat the background color. It's not just aesthetic, it's actually functional as well. So I'm pretty excited about that one. We've talked a lot about the new filter pane experience, right? What we're doing now is giving you the option when you open up your report. If you're using the old filter pane, we're going to go ahead and prompt you to say, hey, bring those over. And not only that, we're going to give you the option of saying, hey, check this checkbox, and any new report that you open that you haven't opened yet in Power BI Desktop, it will just convert you over.
Nice.
So one of the reasons we're doing this now is we're giving you some time to transition over to that new filter pane, because there will come a time where we're gonna bring you over, right?
It's the stick.
It's the stick. This is a carrot. Is that how you do it? A carrot and a stick?
It's a carrot first and then the stick.
Yeah. So this is your carrot. I don't think we've announced quite yet when that's going to be. So we're not just going to spring it on you overnight. We're giving you some time, but as always, I think now is the time to think about transitioning over to the new filter pane experience.
Fair enough.
Would you agree?
I agree.
So use the carrot. Right?
Yep, use the carrot.
All right, cool. So last month we brought you the icons in conditional formatting. This month we're improving upon it as per how we usually roll. And we're giving you a style picker to pick your icons in the conditional formatting.
Nice.
So that's really what it is, making it a lot easier to bring in icons there. We're also making it a little easier. Things like conditional formatting are a powerful feature, and every time you bring a powerful feature, it gives an opportunity for you to maybe actually make a mistake or accidentally set a setting the wrong way. We're now giving you warnings for your conditional formatting. So for example, the measures data type is not what the thing expects. This example is it's giving it a number, but it expects a string. So rather than just kind of failing silently and not working, we're going to give you this nice little warning icon here to ensure that you guys are actually doing this correctly.
This would be super helpful for me because when something new comes out, I always end up breaking it. So warnings, very helpful.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and you know, you've seen this in a lot of our citizen developer tools like Power BI, Power Apps. We have the Power Apps checker. We have Flow Checker.
Yep.
Really trying to make it easy to do the right thing the first time.
Yep.
But then when maybe things go off the rails slightly, it's like, hey, come back over here. This is how you can fix this. So really, really cool. I'm happy to see this. I hope people aren't getting sick of me talking about the key influences of visual. I'm just in love with this thing. First, I don't know why we announced this. I'll go down to the second announcement first because it's GA. So the key influencers visual is generally available. Yeah, sigh of relief from across the land here. So the other thing that we've done here is added measure support. This is a big one because previously it had to be, you know, a column in your data set to analyze. Now you can build a measure, which many people are doing, and I want to be able to analyze that measure. So average sales.
Yeah.
I mean, before I couldn't do that.
Fair enough.
So this is really cool. So this one is saying what influences average sales to increase? Well, the class is deluxe and the brand name is Fabricam. So this is a really I think we announced this visual probably less than 6 months ago in preview, and it's really full featured at this point. It's already a very mature ML application baked right into Power BI Desktop. All you got to do is bring in that custom visual.
Sweet.
So you've seen this before, right? It's amazing. I think this has become my poster child when I'm talking to customers about democratization of things like AI and statistics and really making it easy, because you don't have to be any kind of statistician or PhD or machine learning person to leverage this visual. I literally have just a couple things that I need to do here to get to this kind of insight. So this is the Impress Your Boss visual.
Yeah, I was going to say, because for me, I guess the biggest value add here is that the insights are so easy to consume. I don't have to be this guru to understand my data.
Right.
Simple, clear words. Right. Very powerful message.
Yep, totally. I really do think this is the Impress Your Boss visual, because it gives you a lot of insight without a lot of work. Couple new custom visualizations from ValQ this month. So multiple access chart. Let's see if I can pronounce this next one correctly. The Maramiko chart. I know that one. It's just not one I say out loud too often. And then we have the variance chart, all from ValQ and their XViz suite. So that's some cool stuff to go check out. And we also have the Horizon chart, which I love this chart. This is a really cool chart because it shows a lot of really dense information across a lot of different categories in a very concise way, right? So you can easily kind of start to see where variances and outliers are across things like either time or whatever you're looking at. So here, I'm a big fan of that one. In the data connectivity area, we're adding in support for SAP HANA HDI containers. So we're really maturing the SAP. We put a lot of investment over the last year or so on making connectivity to HANA, to SAP in general, better. Also, editing of SAP variables in the service. Okay, not that this is kind of funny because this is the desktop, but we're bringing that over into the service to where if you are deployed into a premium workspace, you can now edit these variables for SAP BW or SAP HANA.
Wow.
So this is really actually a very deep integration, I think, with SAP. I'm pretty excited about that one. Postgres, direct query. This is a big one. A lot of my customers, of course, are using SQL Server, right? If we're talking about relational databases.
Yeah.
But I would say in the modern camp, the next most thing I see is Postgres. A lot of people using Postgres. We offer it as a service in Azure, right?
Yep.
Fully managed, and now we have direct query against Postgres, which is really, really cool. Mark Logic connectors, GA. And we've also done a rename on the Power BI category. We've now added a new category called Power Platform, because we have things like the Common Data Service, Power BI data flows, the Power BI data sets themselves to bring governed and canonical data to your organization. We're now kind of putting that in the Power Platform category.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then last but not least, this one's not for Jay and I, because we both quit Facebook in the last year.
Yes, we have.
But we won't talk about that too much. But we have a new template app for Facebook pages, right? So if you're doing marketing and you want a kind of quick and easy way to do analytics against your Facebook pages, we now have an app where it comes in and it asks you which pages you want to monitor and since what date, and allows you to party on that data. Pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's even that's a small desktop release, and that was a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff.
So I never get tired of talking about Power BI Desktop after like 3 years here. All right, so we're moving on to Power Apps. I'll cut through a couple of these pretty quickly so we can get over to Jay's awesome modern workplace stuff. We've added a preview for the new data source pane in Power Apps. Did you see this one?
I did not see
this one. Just making it a lot easier to browse your entities, see what you have in there without actually having to add things onto your canvas.
Yeah.
So this is a really nice way to see what we have in the Common Data Service or your other data sources that you're bringing in. I'm a big fan of what we've got going on here. This one was really cool. So for a while now, in Power BI, you've been able to do B2B guests, bring people in, allow them to share in the insights inside your organization. We're now bringing this same kind of capability to Canvas apps. So if you have a guest in your tenant, I can share a Canvas app with you.
And you know what? That's a trend that I'm seeing more and more now. So
I'm seeing it too.
People are getting more mature with the whole platform itself. If you remember, we had that one customer, actually you weren't in that one. So last year we had a customer in MTC. They wanted to go all Power Apps for their custom app dev platform, period.
Yeah.
And we made it happen over 2 days. It was a hackathon.
That's amazing.
It was beyond amazing.
Well, I had a customer in just this week that was using B2B, and they just went and figured it out themselves, and their vendors are gaining insights against the data inside their organization, and it's fantastic. So okay, so that's awesome. Then we also have SharePoint. We have some visitors in our office today. If we hear some noise in the background, but we have the SharePoint delegation improvements. So if we have things like this is like just so you know right now, this is like the time when the reporter on the news and his kid came in. That's what's going on right now. So that's okay. We're just rolling with it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So all right. So this is like where you have the people picker, things that could have a lot of data behind it. And previously in Power Apps, you were limited by like a 500 to 2,000 record limit in like a people picker. Yeah. Right. So now we've done a better job of delegating back. Right. So pushing the work down for various operations like filtering, sorting, lookup, and saying, hey, rather than bring all the data back into Power Apps and sorting and filtering it, wouldn't it make more sense to just push that down to SharePoint?
Exactly. It's meant for that. It was designed for that, and also makes your performance go faster as well. It's huge benefits.
So I think we've done a pretty good job here of documenting the limitations and what does what. So this would be a lot like query folding inside of Power BI. What's able to push down to the server in this case. So this is great. I'm excited about this one. And then finally, a preview, some lookup enhancements. So for example, being able to show recent contacts. I liked the one where it's showing the recent records, but also if there are different record types, like we have documents and sets and contacts, it's going to show, you can indicate what type of record it is. Also, being able to just browse by record type. So being able to, I believe that one is this, right here. So I can click my thing here, drill into cases, see all my cases. These are all my cases here indicated by the icon. So it gives a better experience from that type of perspective.
Very cool.
Sound good?
Sounds
more
great.
Maturity, more excitement. And actually, I'm going to have you because of that, I'm going to have you actually open with your last thing because
Sure.
it just ties. Is that okay?
That's great.
So Jay wanted to do a little bragging for a second, I guess, on.
I never brag, just so you know. I'm
Which-
just kidding. I brag all the time.
It ain't bragging if you've done it, right?
Fair enough.
That's right.
Fair enough. So Gartner, right? So we all have heard of Gartner, and they actually have announced that Power Apps is the leader in their Magic Quadrant when it comes to low-code application platforms. And that is a testament to how much work we've invested in making this platform be so usable, so user-friendly, and all those points that we just covered, right? Those little enhancements that
That's
go
right.
a long way in making sure that this, in fact, can be a feasible platform. If you're good in Excel, you got this.
And we've gotten to this point in a very
short period.
very short amount of time. I mean, Power Apps is only a couple years old.
I was going to say 2 years, yeah.
About 2 years old.
2 years. That's,
So
yeah.
I don't know who else like reaches their peak at 2 years old. Not me. I could barely walk.
Teams did.
Teams did.
Teams
Okay,
did.
fair enough. Teams
But
did. Yeah. All right. So let's move on to some more content here. So I love this one. I think we may have mentioned this one before, but I think this one is like super important because at Microsoft we're all about enabling people, being inclusive.
Being inclusive, and that's the biggest thing because so many times you had the situation where I'm on a remote call and on Teams and I have the whiteboard app going, but for the folks who are in the room and I'm trying to get the in-room whiteboard experience onto my remote calls, it's always hard.
Yeah.
And so now with this new feature, I have the ability to have a camera called the content camera that can be pointed to a physical whiteboard, and it's got AI to understand where the whiteboard starts and finishes and automatically excludes everything else from it. So obviously is a whiteboard, and then it's so cool. If a human is in front of the whiteboard, it makes you transparent.
We turn them into a ghost.
Well,
See? So this is awesome.
it is.
Because remote, we do, I mean, pretty much at the MTC, we do meetings for our job.
Yeah.
Right. There's lots of other things we do around that. But we do all day kind of whiteboarding sessions with customers. And a lot of times in the past, we've really discouraged remote participation.
Yep.
Not because the tech's not there. Tech's great, right? But being inclusive and making sure that the remote people have the right experience is as everyone knows, is super difficult. So I think this goes a long way to doing that.
Agreed.
So
100%.
Yep.
All
So,
right.
Awesome. So I'll go to the next tab here. And so what do we got here?
Okay, so
A little bit of roadmap
a
stuff,
little
right?
bit of so Teams, right? So we spoke about this. Teams is growing at a very, very rapid pace. The one thing I wanted to call out here was this bad boy over here. So external access. I think it's fair to say we've all been used to external access in Teams, right? But now we've actually rolled out external access for the DoD and GCC High. So those guys are not being left behind either. So we've reached all the layers of compliance that we have to for those different tenants, especially DoD, right? And being able to enable external access just opens up so many more avenues.
And anytime that you're bringing external people in, dealing with compliance, even inside a non-governmental organization, is difficult.
Absolutely.
So this was a big checkbox.
I agree.
And one of my we talked about this a lot. One of my favorite things on Office Flash Friday is letting the Gov Cloud people know they have new things.
Yeah.
'Cause they always see all the things that are coming live to the commercial cloud, and they're like, oh, I wish I had that. So I love bringing these kinds of announcements.
You know, there's one thing I can't wait. Hopefully someday we do this. Getting Yammer on GCC High.
Oh, okay.
They don't have Yammer yet.
Okay.
Someday, fingers crossed.
All right. So
All
this
right.
is a Jay's wish list. All right.
All right. So the other thing I wanted to speak to as well. Wait, this is a bad link.
That's
Never
okay.
mind. Moving on. All right. So switching gears from Teams to SharePoint. So I come from a very deep SharePoint
We
background.
both do, yeah.
Actually, that's true.
Yeah,
We both
yeah,
do.
yeah.
So I got super excited about this because, so first off, modern sites, right? Being able to drag images over, it's great, but the one big pain point I've always heard is it's not the easiest to get the images in, or sometimes they're too big and it just doesn't fit well on a modern site. Drag and drop, massive, right? The other announcement that's part of this is also the ability now to have vertical sections and vertical anchors.
It's a beautiful page.
It is. You know what? I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Modern sites, this is all out of the box.
It's beautiful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that now I can do anchors on these as well. So I have those long pages. Anchors. So if I have a super long page, I can skip directly to a section on the page.
Sure. Yep.
Which again, as we do intranets and communication sites and news posts, they can get pretty long. So this is a big deal.
Yeah, that's I mean, look at that. That's a gorgeous page. And I don't have to be like, I know good design when I see it. Like if you asked me to do this from scratch, I would run away screaming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And out of the box,
out
guys.
Of the box.
Out of the
awesome.
box. And then this cool thing, right? So now that I have got these pages and the Office graph kind of has a view of my content that I browsed, we can actually add a web part that gives you recommendations. So taking your data from the graph and presenting it back to you on those news posts to help you discover more content. Cool. Awesome.
All right.
And you'll see I get excited pretty quickly.
I love it, man. That's why we love doing this, because we're passionate.
Fair enough. So staying on SharePoint, and I know we do a lot of co-authoring these days with Office 365 and Office Online, but there are still use cases for document management sites to have the ability for check-in, check-out. So you can now actually have new actions in Flow that can automate check-in and check-out based on your interaction with those documents.
Yep.
Right.
It looks like I even have options to talk about, is this a minor, major? Am I going to override the file?
Exactly.
All the same things you would expect in the UI.
Exactly. So being able to automate that is huge. So going back to, again, the whole Power Platform, right? Being able to enhance those little things, very important.
Yes.
Something else I found really cool. Some of you may have figured it's trivial, or it seems more like an aesthetic gimmick, but I think it's pretty neat in that if I'm on a SharePoint site.
Let's go full screen on this so we can see what's going on.
That's a great idea. So if I'm on a SharePoint site and I'm hovering over who made this last edit on my document, and I hover over their name. Now I have a whole hover card which gives me all the recent actions by that user.
That's awesome.
On maybe that document or other documents.
Right.
Going back again to the Office graph, just being embedded natively into pretty much everything we do.
Very cool.
In Office.
All right.
Super sweet.
Let's cut back.
All right. Bulk approvals. Again, this is just a little announcement that happened. You can actually select multiple items in a list, bulk approve, makes it super easy to do.
That's just one of those things where it's like, probably for some people right now, they're probably crying for joy because they've needed this for a long time. Maybe if you don't need it, it's just a small feature, but for someone out there, that's a big one.
It is, and it's just to have it there, right?
Yep.
In your back pocket. So that's this page over here. So
Azure AD.
So now I know Doug's baby is security. I am just growing into Doug's world, if you will. But one of the things I love about Azure AD is just the fact that, again, one of these things like Teams and Power BI, constantly, every week, there are new updates. This is huge. So Azure AD access reviews, it's been around for a while now, right? Again, this goes back to our Azure AD governance, identity governance, things like that. You can now invoke those actions from the graph. So making it part of your day-to-day automation processes, where as you try and register new applications in Azure AD, how do you add this governance to be part of your application baked in?
So this is a lot for audit. Is that what's
for audit? It's basically it's your governance, making sure access controls are in place. Somebody who shouldn't have access still doesn't have access, things like that.
Well, so, I can imagine, because I haven't looked at this one yet, Ajay, but I'm imagining this creates some kind of data that I could then dump to like something like a CSV maybe.
You absolutely
and
can.
Maybe even build like a Power BI on top of it.
Or in a lot of situations, customers are already using some kind of SIM, like a Splunk.
Yep.
So once I have this data in the graph, being able to use the data to bring it into my Splunk dashboard, which can be
or even Sentinel maybe.
Sentinel.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Cool.
So that's this one, and then this is my favorite announcement for the day period. So passwordless login. So you probably heard on several occasions, Microsoft's making a big push.
It's a thing.
It's a thing. It is a thing. And so FIDO2 keys, right? Because one of the things I always hear from my customers is I want to do MFA, but it's hard for my end users. The tech savvy ones, sure. End users who are not so tech savvy, it's difficult. Or they may be in a building where there's not enough cell connections. So having a physical key that can be plugged in through USB that you can enable through biometric, and then there's your other factor of authentication. So I'm still not compromising on security, yet I'm making it easy.
Yeah.
So FIDO2 keys, it's in public preview.
You should. We actually got one of these keys in not too long ago, and I had Jay show me how easy it was, and it was pretty awesome. Kind of going through the scenario where I'm on a new device, I'm on a non-trusted network,
That's right.
going to my corporate data and just putting that thing in there, and I don't even have to know my password.
That's right. No passwords,
Yeah.
no phones, strictly I'm in,
It's
right?
pretty amazing. And I'm not, to your point, it's not a compromise.
It's not. That's very important.
Yeah.
All right. So this one, the less sexy of the features, if you will. So as part of Azure AD,
I think that all depends on who you are.
fair
If
enough.
you're a security person, this is you're like sitting up straight, leaning in. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So as part of Azure AD B2C, what we've now announced is the ability to have custom OpenID connectors.
Okay.
So as long as I have these other identity providers that are leveraging OpenID, I can now integrate with them as part of my Azure B2C.
Nice.
Right? So it's a big deal. Now, taking that one step further, I can also bring access tokens from other identity providers into my application.
Okay.
So let's say I'm working with Facebook auth or I'm working with GitHub auth,
Yep,
right? Bringing those in natively now, awesome.
So we're adding, the key is, I think, flexibility, more options.
More options.
Okay. Great.
Exactly. And it's all part of the UI as well. So you can actually configure them easily from the back end, from within your application, or you can just enable it from Azure AD portal as well.
Excellent.
So,
all right.
and last but not the least.
We're on Paul Thurrott's page here.
I love the guy.
Oh, Paul's great.
Paul's awesome.
Who doesn't love Paul?
And
I think this is apropos too, because we're in the dev channel of Chromium.
That's right.
Yep.
Huge fan of Azure, of the new Edge Dev. I'm on a daily build, and it's actually really stable.
I'm on Canary also. Yeah.
Canary is awesome. So one of the things we announced recently was the ability where you can actually have read aloud be part of the browser experience. So going back to the inclusivity of things, right? Doing it, I'm surprised we haven't had this whole time, but the fact that we're doing it now is so amazing. And the other part of this that I'm really proud of is the fact that this is being contributed to the Chromium open source project that will be picked up by Google as well in the Chrome browser.
So this just goes back and shows and this is it right here, right?
Yep.
So this just goes back and shows the when we announced you can't hear it, but I'm pushing through here. I hope you can't hear it. I think I'm muted here. But when we announced that we're moving to a Chromium-based Edge, we committed to contributions back. So it's going to make the general web better, right?
Exactly.
Because there's another big web browser out there that uses Chromium, right? Of course. And they're going to be able to take advantage of the things that we're pushing back into that project.
Absolutely.
So I think this is.
I agree.
Because the web, I mean, we're about 25 the web being a public thing, and it's never more. Web is still thriving, it's still important, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. So I think these contributions that we can make back, I'm a big fan. If you haven't checked out Edge Dev or Edge Canary, I think you can be confident that you're good.
Yep. And one last announcement on this topic is the fact that this feature is also available as of this morning on your Edge browser on your iOS and Android devices as well.
Awesome.
So
that's great. Okay. Well, that sounds good. If that was playing and you could hear it, my apologies. Hopefully that wasn't playing into the meeting. I guess I'll find out here in a minute. But Ajay, I want to thank you for joining us today. This was awesome to have us. Maybe we'll see your face again here soon. And thanks for joining us. I hope everyone has a great and safe weekend.
See you guys.
All right. Bye-bye.